Okay.
Oh no, let the chair.
Yes. Say hello. Island. Ah, what? What are you doing? Where? There was a painting exhibition somewhere. Last year. Yes, I know. COVID was
No dancing. No dancing.
phones on silent mode. Excellencies, distinguished guests present here, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. On behalf of the Indian Council of World Affairs, New Delhi, it is a pleasure to welcome you all for the 42nd Sapru House lecture on the theme Shared Values and Common Outlook, the Journey of Philippines-India Cooperation. The program of the event will be as follows. Introductory remarks will be made by Ambassador Vijay Thakur Singh, Director General, ICWA, who will also be chairing this session. Ambassador Ma Teresita Sidaza, Director General, FSI, and former Philippine Ambassador to India and Nepal, will then give her remarks. His Excellency Enrique A. Manalo, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Republic of the Philippines, will deliver his lecture thereafter. His Excellency Manalo has also kindly agreed to take a few questions at the end of his lecture. The Q&A will be moderated by Ambassador Vijay Thakur Singh. With this, may I now invite Ambassador Vijay Thakur Singh, DG ICWA, to make her introductory remarks.
His Excellency Enrique Manalo, Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of the Philippines, a very, very warm welcome to you to Sapru House. Ambassador Teresa Daza, Director General, Foreign Service Institute and spokesperson of the Department of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines, CDA John Santos of Philippines Embassy in New Delhi, and all distinguished guests, a warm welcome to everyone. It is a privilege for the Indian Council of World Affairs to host Secretary of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Enrique Manalo, for the 42nd Sapru House lecture. I warmly welcome Secretary Manalo, a distinguished diplomat. He has several Indian diplomats as his friends who know him through his various assignments, including in the missions of the Philippines to the UN in Geneva and New York, and also as the ASEAN SOM leader of his country. I had the privilege of knowing him as a SOM leader as well as in New York. So it's a special privilege personally to welcome him to Sapru House. I also extend a warm welcome to Ambassador Teresa Dazo, who earlier served as the Ambassador of Philippines to India. She is well known here as a friend of India. India and Philippines formally established diplomatic relations in November 1949. Our countries have a shared history of shared values and common approaches on a range of issues from anti-colonialism to South-South cooperation, and both our countries have strong democratic polities. Friendly relations between the two countries have seen a resurgence in the recent years. For example, last year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telephonic conversation with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and congratulated him on his election as the President of the Philippines. Earlier in 2020, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visited Manila, and that year itself, former Secretary Luskan visited India. Your visit, Secretary Manalo, in the first year of your tenure is significant and marks the continuation of high-level interaction between our two countries. India's Act East policy and strengthened ASEAN-India relations have had a positive impact on bilateral relations. Philippines is a key partner for India's Act East policy and an important factor in the emerging strategic framework in the Indo-Pacific region. India and Philippines, striding the two corners of the Indo-Pacific region, have vital stakes in upholding a rule-based order to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific. India understands that ASEAN has a critical role in issues of regional concern. India was among the first countries to support the ASEAN Outlook on Indo-Pacific, AOIP, especially as it had commonalities with India's own Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, IPOI. Recent global developments have underlined the need for greater cooperation and collaboration to face challenges like supply chain disruptions in energy, food, fertilizers that have deeply impacted countries of the global south. At the same time, nations are understanding the value of working closely with others who share similar approaches and concerns. And countries are seeking partnerships that prioritize responsible behavior, trust, and reliability. Multilateral institutions, including the UN Security Council, need to reflect contemporary global realities to be effective and relevant. India, as the current G20 chair, is focusing on multilateral institutions for the 21st century, issues of concern to the global south, as well as green development, lifestyle for environment, SDGs, technology-enabled development, and women-led development. As we move into the future, there are many areas in which our two countries can work together in multilateral and regional groupings, and at the same time, expand bilateral relations in existing and newer areas such as defense and maritime security, blue economy, development cooperation, fintech, digital economy, space, among others. We look forward to hearing Excellency Enrique Monalo, Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of the Philippines, on his lecture titled Shared Values and Common Outlook, the Journey of India-Philippines Cooperation. Thank you so much, and we look forward to your lecture, Secretary Monalo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Singh. May I now invite Ambassador Teresita C. Daza, Director General FSI, DFA spokesperson and former Philippine Ambassador to India and Nepal, to give her remarks.
Director General of ICWA, Ambassador Vijay Thakur Singh, Honorable Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines, His Excellency Enrique Manalo, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great pleasure to be back in India, where I've formed many fond memories and very significant learnings as well. The rich culture and history of India, which harkens back to ancient times, is truly a marvel, one that must be experienced to be truly appreciated. But even more importantly, in my time as Philippine ambassador to India from 2015 to early 2019, I met many individuals both from the public and private spheres and saw firsthand that shared democratic values and principles between India and the Philippines that have shaped the contours of our bilateral relations, bringing to fore the facets that have defined its strength and longevity. It is worth noting that India and the Philippines will celebrate the 75th anniversary of our bilateral relations next year. The ASEAN region, and to a larger extent, the Indo-Pacific region, is rife with opportunities, its potentials limitless, but it's also beset with its own set of challenges. In his speech at the Shangri-La Dialogue in 2018, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke of the Indo-Pacific region, and I quote, that our common prosperity and security require us to evolve through dialogue a common rules-based order for the region, and it must equally apply to all individually as well as to the global commons. Such an order that must believe in sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as the equality of all nations, irrespective of size and strength. Asia of rivalry will hold us all back. Asia of cooperation will shape this century. Indeed, these words speak of commonality shared by India and the Philippines and the Indo-Pacific region, which as we speak are contending with several geopolitical challenges and flashpoints that run the gamut from the traditional, territorial, and non-traditional issues. Secretary Enrique Manalo, in his speech at the CSIS Southeast Asia Program, ahead of the Philippine-US 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue in April 2023, also alluded to this when he remarked that the interdependence of economies in the Indo-Pacific, which is actually a regional powerhouse now, leading post-pandemic global recovery, is salient to its dynamism. And it is the very same compelling rationale for states to keep to the path of cooperation despite disruptive dynamics of competition and strategic rivalry between the United States and China. In this vein, the need to explore and discuss the concerns shared by the region is even more critical. Upon looking at the vision of ICWA, I was struck by its first objective, to promote the study of Indian and international affairs so as to develop a body of informed opinion on international matters. Informed. In this age of disinformation and misinformation, it is crucial to possess the facts and ascertain what is real and what is not, particularly in the realm of foreign policy. The need to be vigilant is greater now more than ever when our digital domain is also engulfed in a tide of half-truths and confusing information. EQA and FSI signed a Memorandum of Understanding on 16 November 2017 that aims to deepen our institutional linkages and foster collaborative exchange and cooperation to promote better understanding and relations between the Philippines and India. To this end, FSI and EQA's focus on research are vital platforms to explore and raise the nuances of issues on international affairs, to seek knowledge and establish facts, and in the process, hopefully contribute to a region that espouses shared values and principles and help implement foreign policies that promote peace and security. I thank EQA for actively collaborating with us in this maiden lecture. With this inaugural event co-organized by EQA and FSI, I believe that we're headed in the right direction, and it's my fervent hope that this collaboration will continue and strengthen as we face the future with confidence and optimism. Dhanyabad, thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Daza. Now I have the honor and privilege to invite His Excellency Enrique A. Manalo, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, the Republic of Philippines. He is a seasoned career diplomat. He took his oath of office in July 2022 as a new Secretary of Foreign Affairs. He has a long and distinguished career in the Philippine Foreign Service and vast experience in diplomacy. During his more than 4 decades of service in the DFA, Secretary Manalo was appointed as Undersecretary for Policy twice. He was the principal advisor to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. As Undersecretary of Foreign Policy, the Secretary Manalo also served as Philippines senior official in the ASEAN Senior Officials Meeting, which is the working level mechanism for ASEAN policy formulation and priority setting. He is an expert in multilateral diplomacy, having served as a Philippine permanent representative to the United Nations in New York immediately prior to being appointed as Secretary of Foreign Affairs. He was also the Philippine permanent representative to the UN in Geneva. I now invite Secretary Manalo to deliver the 42nd Sapru House lecture on shared values and common outlook, the journey of Philippines-India cooperation.
Good morning, everyone. Ambassador Vijay Thakur Singh, Director General of the India Council of World Affairs. Ambassador Teresita Dasa, the Director General of the Foreign Service Institute of the Philippines. My colleagues, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is certainly an honor and great privilege to stand before you today to share my thoughts on the long-standing and excellent friendship and relationship enjoyed by the Philippines and India. I would also like to express my sincerest appreciation to the Indian Council of World Affairs for providing me with this opportunity to speak before you today. I am in India, among others, for the 5th meeting of the Philippine-India Joint Commission on Bilateral Cooperation, or the JCBC, upon the invitation of Minister Jaishankar. This meeting will build on the positive trajectory and high-level interaction between our two countries, especially over the past 5 or 6 years. Moreover, it takes place in the months leading up to the 75th year of our diplomatic relations in 2024. It is also time for considering and pondering upon the milestones of our ties and also what lies ahead. Our relations and their future stand on the rich, centuries-old historical connection between our two peoples through maritime trade as well as social-cultural exchanges. They also draw purpose from our affinities as democratic Asian republics. So in this lecture or speaking engagement, I will address the rich common ground uniting the Philippines and India in their conduct of diplomacy and also our approach to international affairs. Firstly, democracy and pluralism are defining features of our respective national identities. As such, they provide deep anchors to our ties. The thoughts, of contemporaries Jose Rizal and Rabindranath Tagore, still a subject of contemporary scholarship, tell of the fires of national awakening in the forge of Enlightenment ideals during a parallel colonial experience. The fight for freedom gave birth to a strong sense of national identity, leading to the establishment of Asia's first republic in the Philippines and the world's largest democracy in India. Today, Filipinos and Indians embrace the values of freedom, peace, and justice. Our democratic systems provide frameworks for protecting human rights, promoting inclusive governance, empowering our citizens. Democracy frames our endeavors to build resilient and thriving societies where diversity is celebrated as a source of strength and dynamism. Secondly, the Philippines pursues an independent foreign policy in accordance with our Constitution. This is something we share with India. We promote our national interests and principles while seeking peaceful and mutually beneficial arrangements and engagements with the international community. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has enunciated this policy, with the Philippines being friend to all and enemy to none. Intrinsic to this policy is the belief in the agency of states to pursue their own paths of progress and development, and to have an influence in shaping their environments in solidarity and peace with other states. Thirdly, the Philippines and India are staunch advocates for inclusive multilateralism that responds to the challenge of our age. As founding members of the United Nations, during the era of decolonization and the Cold War, the Philippines and India have put themselves as champions of national independence, self-determination, and promotion of the interests of developing countries in the United Nations and its specialized agencies. To this day, we are working together to amplify the voice and perspectives of the developing world in all important global discourses through the Group of 77 and the Non-Aligned Movement. We both work actively to create a UN system that is fair and able to evolve and deliver for its constituents. Fourthly, for both the Philippines and India, peace, security, and stability are critical to enabling populations in our countries and elsewhere to enjoy the fruits of sustainable growth and prosperity in freedom and sovereign equality. And we have demonstrated our commitment to the cause of peace in a tangible and profound way by being among the top troop contributing countries to UN peacekeeping operations worldwide. Filipino and Indian UN peacekeepers serve together in 7 UN peacekeeping missions, including in Cambodia, Lebanon, Sudan, South Sudan, the Golan Heights, Haiti, and Cote d'Ivoire. Parallel to this is our decades of tireless work in partnerships between and among developing countries to build capacities and to empower institutions and communities in the developing world. Altogether, these endeavors in the UN and in multilateral institutions are a vital expression of our mutual desire for a more equitable and inclusive world order where every nation has an equal opportunity to thrive and to prosper. They are an extension of our faith in democracy and the power of multitudes. Ladies and gentlemen, when we delve into the societal fabric of the Philippines and India, we find remarkable parallels, particularly in our diverse and multicultural societies where people from various backgrounds coexist and contribute to our cultural tapestry and vitality. We acknowledge that diversity is a wellspring of strength and that true resilience is built on respect for different perspectives. This national DNA translates to the common approach of the Philippines and Indian diplomacy to recognize that harnessing diversity is key to making multilateralism work. Both our countries have played roles that seek to bring about a climate of mutual respect and collaboration among a wide array of actors and centers of influence, in keeping with the demands of a deeply interconnected world. These roles have enabled our efforts to define a multilateralism that can overcome differences, bridge polarities, and forge consensus for collective action. These inform the vision and strategic frameworks for our respective subregions within the broader Indo-Pacific. India has put forward the concept of SAGAR, security and growth for all in the region, for the Indian Ocean region, while the Philippines, along with 9 other Southeast Asian countries, has championed ASEAN centrality. Although these frameworks may differ in geographic focus and scope, they share fundamental goals, namely fostering regional cooperation and multilateralism, ensuring security in the maritime domain, promoting physical, digital, and institutional connectivity, advocating for open regionalism, and preserving the rules-based order that has provided the international system with stability and predictability. ASEAN also places great importance to India's unwavering commitment to ASEAN centrality within the regional security architecture. India's Indo-Pacific strategy, introduced in 2018, converges with the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific, especially in their mutual goal of maintaining a free, open, and inclusive region, and in the emphasis on maritime and development cooperation and adherence to international law. The Philippines and India, nationally and in the context of ASEAN, bilateral partnerships and groupings are at the core of robust partnerships and institutions that will underpin peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, in this changing global landscape, which we have been witnessing shifting power dynamics and complex challenges, especially over recent years, both the Philippines and India recognize the need for an evolving multilateral system. We each take the view that existing institutions must adapt to effectively address contemporary issues such as climate change and environmental sustainability, inequality and social justice, global health, migration, and the rise of new and advanced technologies, among others. The Philippines appreciates India's advocacy for a reformed multilateral system that promotes inclusivity, transparency, and accountability. On this, the Philippines fully agrees. International institutions need to be reimagined to be more responsive to and more reflective of the realities of the 21st century. Through collaboration and constructive engagement, we help shape a more equitable and responsive global order. I have often said that as long as there is no credible alternative to the United Nations and its multilateral institutions, we must persevere in making these institutions work and work better. In the center of our efforts for an enhanced and more credible multilateral system is the refocusing on the interests and well-being of our people. In other words, to place them back at the heart of multilateralism's goals. This will apply the spirit of the UN Charter's preamble, which begins with the phrase, "We the peoples." As such, it will lend a succinct meaning to the work of many groupings like BRICS, the G20, and ASEAN for people-centered peace and development. And here again, Philippine and Indian diplomacy meet, for each of us believes that empowering marginalized voices and more inclusive decision-making processes are a key to making the United Nations not only more effective, but also more accountable. A deeper sense of ownership by many states and stakeholders of the UN and global institutions will contribute to consolidating trust and, more importantly, confidence in the multilateral system. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippines and India have demonstrated remarkable resilience in the face of many challenges. Both our nations have overcome and emerged stronger from socioeconomic obstacles and political upheavals since the time of their independence. The 21st century beckons us to chart a course for our bilateral relationship that mirrors our highest ideals, and our determination to secure the future for our nations and the next generations. While Philippine collaboration with India within regional and international platforms is an important agenda, my mission in New Delhi will also focus on advancing our bilateral cooperation. And today we are redrawing focus on facets of our partnerships in health, security, food and energy, cyber and outer space cooperation, and maritime security. Let me just cite a few examples of this. First, the COVID-19 pandemic has put health security as paramount in the global agenda and in shoring up national resilience. Our partnership, therefore, must venture more into research and development, investments in new technologies, and exchange best practices in delivering life-saving medicines and services to those who need them most. I note that our bilateral health cooperation has also acquired new salience with the Philippines' push for the establishment of its own Virology and Vaccine Institute and Center for Disease Control. Under President Marcos Jr., the Philippines is determined to set up a premier research and development institute or institutes that will help the country prepare for future pandemics, bioterrorism, and the prevention of the reemergence of endemic diseases. Secondly, to meet the needs of our expanding populations in the face of climate change, food and energy security are now in front and center of our ties. Investments and innovation are key to driving productivity and sustainability in these sectors. Thirdly, the Philippines and India are like-minded nations, bear the responsibility of safeguarding the global commons for the benefit of present and future generations. We have a significant role to play in shaping the rules and norms governing cyberspace, outer space, and the maritime domain. The complexities and challenges in these fields are profound, and they demand urgent and thoughtful regional and global cooperation and action. In the realm of cybersecurity, we can collaborate to address common threats and ensure the protection of data and privacy, especially with the increasing application of fintech in our local economies. By jointly promoting robust cybersecurity measures, we can reinforce a secure and trusted digital environment that fosters innovation, supports economic growth, benefiting both small, medium, and big enterprises, and protect the well-being of our citizens. The establishment of the Philippine Space Agency in 2019 pronounced the aims of the Philippines to participate in space exploration and to optimize the use of space-based technologies for development. We hope for stronger collaboration with India towards this end, including in promoting equitable and democratic access to outer space as part of the global commons through norms that protect the interests of all and uphold the common good. Lastly, as maritime nations situated at the crossroads of the world's busiest sea lanes, the Philippines and India share a vested interest in maritime security and the preservation of our invaluable marine resources. We must intensify bilateral initiatives for knowledge sharing and capacity building to uphold seafaring standards, promote adherence to maritime trading rules, and enforce marine environmental protection measures. This way, we're able to not only protect our oceans, but also to ensure the long-term resilience and prosperity of the communities reliant on these waters for their livelihoods. The Philippines and India, as vanguards of international law and multilateralism, recognize the importance of upholding and strengthening the rule of law in the global commons. Our pursuit of a predictable international order that respects state sovereignty, promotes stability and fairness, and provides for the peaceful resolution of disputes based on international law is a hallmark of the responsible global citizenship that characterizes Philippine and Indian diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, as I conclude, Let me state that the bilateral relations between the Philippines and India, which have flourished across various sectors over the years, are flexing for further growth in scale and in depth. While our nations navigate the current global landscape, our history of cooperation, rooted in shared values and common outlook, points the way for more meaningful cooperation ahead. Our engagement in the past decades in trade, defense, education, and culture has deepened our mutual understanding and solidarity. This provides the sound footing for our future ties as they gain new contours of common purpose in the 21st century. Democracy will always hold a deep resonance in the hearts of the Filipino and Indian people. Democracy embodies the triumph and primacy of the people's will, enabling them to shape their own futures and participate in governing their respective nations. By the representation and empowerment of diverse groups, democracy nurtures a sense of belonging and ensures that the voices of all citizens are heard and valued. For these reasons, the Philippines and India profess an unwavering faith in democracy and its unique power to unite, inspire, and transform. Through the vicissitudes in global politics, and in light of the unfinished quest by the community of nations for peace that endures and upholds the best of humanity, this is a most formidable bond between our two countries that serves our people and the good of our region and the world. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Excellency, for your insightful and enriching lecture. Now I request Ambassador Vijay Thakur Singh, DG ICWA, to moderate the Q&A session.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassadors. Thank you so much, Secretary Manalo, for your very comprehensive talk. You've covered several regional and global developments and demonstrated how India and Philippines actually approach them from very similar angles. And I'm sure that provides a bedrock for a very strong relationship between our two countries. Now we have time for questions. What I would do, Excellency, is to take 3 questions and a second set of 3 questions, then we see how the time goes. So please raise your hands and I'll take questions from the floor. Let me take one from here, Dr. Sanjeev from ICWA.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, His Excellency, for the comprehensive and enriching presentation on the journey of Philippines-India cooperation. My question is regarding China's role in South China Sea. We all know that China talks about dialogue, but its action shows confrontation in South China Sea. So my question is, do you think a code of conduct is essential in these circumstances for all parties, especially China? And the related question is, how do you see the progress so far on the code of conduct over South China Sea? Thank you, sir.
Okay, second question. All right, I'll take one there. Teshu, you have the floor there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the very informative talk. I have a related question. Recently, in May 2023, US had issued guidelines on defending Philippines in case of attack in South China Sea. Can you please tell us what has been the Chinese reaction on this development?
Ambassador Sajna.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your very insightful presentation. I'm Ashok Sajanhar. I'm former ambassador of India to a few countries. My question is related to the first 2, and maybe this threesome would really come as possibly one response. And the question is that Philippines had gone to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in possibly 2014 on the activities of China as far as South China Sea is concerned and the islands in the vicinity of the Philippines. And we had got a response, a verdict from the Permanent Court of Arbitration in July 2016 that vindicated the position, upheld the position of Philippines and totally rejected the position that had been advanced by China. My question is, could you kindly share what is the particular status of that particular case that you had taken? How has the verdict been implemented? And the complaint that Philippines had, has it been sorted out to your satisfaction? Thank you.
Ambassador Manalo, you have
This is
Secretary Manalo. Ambassador.
This is okay. Yes, well, thank you very much for those questions. I think they're all stated related. So maybe I'll try and answer them individually, but I may have at the danger of repeating myself. But anyway, first on the China's role in the South China Sea and dialogue mechanism. Well, first let me say that, of course, there is a Chinese presence in the South China Sea, and especially when they did declare their so-called 9-dash line, which was not accepted, I believe, by the world community. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why the Philippines filed for the arbitration case, was to get a hearing and a decision on the legality of China's claim. And the award came out in our favor, but I'll get to that a bit later. So there is China is present in the South China Sea, and they have, in various ways, through the presence of their, let's say, maritime units, as well as through land reclamation. And most of these are occurring or are taking place inside or in the